dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, representing Nevada, won election on Saturday, clinching Democrats' control of the Senate for the next 2 years. The Associated Press projects that Democratic Senator Mark Kelly will also win re-election in Arizona. Now, even if the Republicans win the runoff in Georgia, Vice President Kamala Harris would continue to cast the tie-breaking vote in the Senate to guarantee the Democratic majority. We're following a developing situation in Clay County. Manchester police dispatchers confirm with us that a dead body was found near Paw Paw in Clay County Saturday. They are not able to provide any more details at this time. We'll update our web story on our website with more information when it's made available. State police responded to a riot last night. It happened around 9:40 at the Adair Regional Detention Center, a maximum security facility for juveniles. Police say the riot began after a juvenile assaulted a staff member, stole his keys, and released other inmates from their cells. State troopers and local law enforcement entered the facility and restored order. Several staff and juvenile inmates were injured during the incident and taken to a local hospital for treatment. Charges against the inmates involved in the riot are pending further investigation. Two aircraft collided today at an air show in Texas. It happened at the commemorative Air Force Wing Show over Dallas. Officials with the FAA say two planes collided around 1:20 this afternoon. It's unclear how many people were on board both aircraft, and their condition is not known at this time. The FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board are both investigating the crash. Churches from across the region put together a Thanksgiving meal for flood survivors in Knott County today. A feast was lined up and down tables at the Knott County Sportsplex. For some flood survivors, this was the first home-cooked meal they've had since the flood. Survivor Burles Sloan says they have to buy every meal from a store just down the road.
This year, we're buying Thanksgiving dinner because I can't cook. I've always cooked Thanksgiving dinner.
The churches will also be having a Christmas meal next month. As cooler weather has come to the mountains, nonprofit feeding programs are noticing an increase in folks coming for free meals. Because of this increase in need, folks in Pikeville started blessing buggies throughout the area. Grace Community Kitchen Executive Director Debbie Bailey says the decision to place the buggies came a couple years ago when a message was written near a blessing box outside of the church.
We have a chalkboard on the outside of our building where someone can write prayer requests. And I had someone come by and they wrote down, "Never no food, hungry." And that was just heartbreaking. I mean, there is nothing that is put in that buggy that is wasted. Everything is used.
Bailey adds that donations have become less frequent due to the rising cost of living and encourages folks to give what they can to help those in need. Some welcome news to talk about. Inflation cooled more than expected in October, which means the prices we pay for everyday items are still high, but those increases are slowing. The news ignited hopes that the Fed's big interest rate hikes may be in the rearview mirror, but analysts say there's still causes for concern about when we'll see some real relief. Mike Valerio breaks it down for us.
The headline, better than expected news on inflation, as the rate of price increases is still falling from a 4-decade high. New data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics out Thursday show the higher prices we're paying for everyday items slowed further last month, dropping from a peak in June. Economic analyst Rana Farohar says American finances are strong and
you've also now got a report that says inflation is starting to dampen. Boy, that could be game-changing for the markets and for the American public in the next couple of years.
Still, analysts note prices in crucial areas remain higher than last year, and people are feeling the pinch.
What's particularly troubling is that the areas where we are seeing the largest and most consistent increases are categories that are absolute necessities, food, energy, and shelter.
As Thanksgiving approaches, food is still getting more expensive, but at a slower pace than earlier this year. There's also the renewed threat of a rail strike in early December, which could cripple the supply chain.
You have renewed disruptions to the supply chain that is going to add another element of price pressure that either pushes prices higher or just keeps them from falling like we'd like to see.
The question now, could this preview the end of big interest rate hikes?
The bottom line is, we need to see a sustained moderation in inflation pressures. One in a row is not a streak. We need a long winning streak.
The Fed makes its next rate hike decision on December 14th. I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Every election day, millions show, cast their votes, and make their voices heard. Still, there are thousands who can't because they've been incarcerated. But Governor Andy Beshear changed that with an executive order restoring voting rights for nonviolent offenders once they complete their sentences. One man who Beshear pardoned, Savvy Shabazz, has been making it his mission to help making the voting process easier for those people.
Like a person coming home, a person being able to find employment, sustainable housing, sustainable employment, and be able to come back to their families and their communities and actually be a part of that.
Shabazz is the president of an organization called All of Us or None, which aims to make the voting process easier and possible for those who have been incarcerated. Stick with us. Cameron's got a look at the weather right after this break.